Are we good to go? Can we bring everybody into the room and start the process? Start there.
All ready to go.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome everybody. My name's Andy Curtis. I work for UK5G and KTN. We are running this session this afternoon after we ran a few briefing events around the 5G Create competition, and we realised that the briefing sessions had a little bit of pitching at the end of it, and we had lots of requests and lots of activity during those briefings that we did face to face. Then we did a kind of webcast in the middle, and then we did a full online briefing twice. We thought there was a lot of activity that we were missing but was taking place, which was absolutely fantastic. So what we decided to do was run an event today focused on the 5G Create competition to allow people who had not previously pitched or been recorded to get involved and give a 3-minute pitch. So that's the basic idea of today. We're going to be managing the process. I'll go through another slide in a second once we've heard from our two speakers about the logistics of how it's going to work. There's myself online today. Richard Foggy is with us as well, who will be working with you on the pitch side of things. You'll hear his voice every now and again. And in the background driving the show, we've got Anita from our events team who is helping us out. So you've been listening to her testing your microphones. So, okay, let's crack on as time is going and we've got lots of pictures to go. Can I introduce Robert Driver from UK5G? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Richard, can you pop up Bob's presentation if he's speaking on?
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. I've been asked just to say a couple of words, just to introduce the pitching event and to say a little bit about UK5G and about the 5G Create competition. So I think a lot of you will know about UK5G, what we are and what we do. Here you are. Here's a slide that summarizes it. We're a network of networks. We're impartial. We're bringing together all kinds of different networks and people connecting the supply and the demand side around 5G in the UK. And you can see that there's 3 main aims there: to develop the ecosystem, to manage information, and to promote capabilities of UK 5G internationally. And we also have a magazine, a wonderful magazine that we were going to be handing out at physical events. And of course, COVID-19 has conspired against that. So if you want to have a magazine, I feel like a sales magazine, do connect through the website on your personal dashboard and we'll pop one in the post to you. So do that. It's a great magazine. It summarizes a lot of the effective projects that have already happened funded by the DCMS and a lot of other things as well. And of course, one of the key roles that UK5G has is to support the DCMS and their funded competitions and to enable partnerships between different folk to enable consortia to develop for those competitions. So if we go to the next slide, we're talking about 5G Create specifically here. And just a reminder that it's a £30 million open competition. And there's 2 ways that you can apply. There's an 8-week competition and a 16-week competition within 5G Create. And they're the key dates there. Closing date for the 8-week is the 1st of June. And the closing date for the 16-week competition is the 27th of July. Worthwhile emphasizing those because they did change when the competition was announced on the 6th of April. So that's the details on 5G Create. Next slide, please, Richard. So enabling partnerships. Well, we did create briefing events. We were going to do physical events all across the country. Obviously, COVID-19 put a coach and horses through that, and we flipped to making those briefing events webinars. very successfully, actually. We had large audiences for those briefing events. These lightning pitches are being done to basically make sure that people understand the number of people that want to participate in partnerships. And your video will go online after this session with a brief description. You'll be able to find other videos that we've already recorded online and under the Build Consortium tab on the 5G Create section on the UK5G website. There's also an online collaboration exchange that you can use to ask questions, get responses, and you can also always drop us a line if you want bespoke support. Mr. Foggy, Mr. Curtis, they're very, very useful people, and I might even help from time to time. So do drop us a line. The team's there ready to support people that have a requirement to build a partnership. And something else that we're looking at as well is that it's occurred to us that for a lot of vendors that can provide network equipment or network software services, a lot of consortia are asking the same questions multiple times to the same vendors. So what we're planning to do is to systematically collect and publish information about potential suppliers and put it on to UK5G, which we think will help consortia that are looking for equipment and software providers and so forth. And we'll do that in a systematic way. We might even be able to call it a catalogue once we've done it. So that's what we're planning to do. And I think that's all I needed to say, apart from thanks for listening. And if you haven't joined UK5G, do, because it's free. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob. Can I now introduce Tony?
Hi, Andy. Thank you for that. Yeah, so Tony Scales from the DCMS 5G Testbeds and Trials Programme. My job is to run the program development function in DCMS, and that means getting very much behind and supporting events like this that generate interest in our competitions. So very excited to see 81 participants now online. That's very exciting for us to see. We are aware that there is significant interest in this competition, 5G Create. Just a couple of quick points to underline what Bob already said. It is an open competition despite the name. We do welcome creative industries solutions in this competition, but we are not limited at all to that. We are interested in bids from all sectors in all types. I'll also quickly cover a question asked in the Q&A box from somebody called Kusha, asking what was the difference between the two competition windows, the 8-week and the 16-week. They were created really from a timeline perspective because we were aware when we started the 5G Create competition that, when we were designing it, that there were a number of very interesting bids which for one reason or another hadn't quite made it in the timelines for previous competitions, and that if we gave them a bit more time they would be ready. So we are expecting that there will be some consortia that will have formed and will be ready earlier than others, and therefore we wanted to give them the chance to get going quicker and get spending their money and delivering faster within the time we've got left in the program. So which is essentially another 2 years from the beginning of this month. Whereas others would take longer to bake, needed longer to consider what they were doing and to form their consortia. And we're particularly aware of the current sort of situation under COVID. We actually, looking at Bob's slide of the large crowd crossing the zebra crossing, that was quite nerve-wracking as for all of us now, as we're used to dealing with kind of 1 or 2 people at a time. But we're aware that that will have some impact on the ability for people to get going quickly and form high quality bids and consortia. So that's why we've got two different windows. There is no advantage or disadvantage to being in one window or the other in terms of your ability to bid and your likelihood of winning funding. We will make sure there is money left from the budget for the second window, and so that's the key difference between the two. I just wanted to also recognise what we're saying about the network as a service option. We've had a number of people who've approached us suggesting they would like to offer that service, and I think that would be very interesting to particularly to consortia that are probably more qualified and more interested in the use case end of trialing rather than the physical network end. You know, who can sit on the shoulders of somebody who's already built that capability and wants to get on with showing demand benefit in particular. I think I just draw your attention. There is the formal guidance is on the gov.uk website. You can search it online and search for 5G Create. And finally, there is also, in addition to being able to direct questions to Andy and the KTN team, there is a 5G Create at culture.gov.uk email address you can also send questions into. Bear in mind, if you do that, we will share your questions and our answers with all other participants who've registered their interest, unless you tell us that there is a commercially sensitive or IP sensitive part of your question, in which case we'll respect that privacy. That's all I wanted to say at this point, other than good luck. Really looking forward to hearing all your pitches, and back to you, Andy.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate that. So let's crack on. Jacob has put a link in the chat. So if you can keep your chat window open, that would be really good. You'll see the guidance there in the documents. I've also put another link up there, which is a bit.ly link, and that goes directly to the UK5G Create competition page, where all the briefings, documents are linked to, all the slide decks are there from the briefings, and the recordings, as well as further down at the bottom of the page, there's a collaboration page devoted to this competition. So please add your thoughts onto that if you already haven't, and your suggestions. So here's how it's going to work. Let's do some housekeeping and key points. Please keep your mics muted and your cameras off unless you are presenting, and we will indicate to you when you are about to present. Pitches are going to be 3 minutes and no longer because we've got an awful lot to get through. Please be brief and concise in those pitches. I will be ruthless about this. I'm going to turn off microphones and stop you from speaking, and we'll move on to the next speaker as we go beyond 3 minutes. So please have that in mind. I will give you a 30-second warning as you reach your when you get to 2.5 minutes, I'll make a noise like that to indicate that you've got 30 seconds left, and we would like to finish within that 30 seconds. What we found really useful in the last briefing sessions, which took, and we did this very sort of ad hoc, is once you've come off stage, as it were, if you can pop your contact details into the chat box, because people can associate your conversation, your pitch with your email address and your contact details. That works really well. Previous delegates have said that they really like that. Okay, right, I think we're there. Can I have the next slide, please, Rich? So the key point is, when you're pitching, be concise, as I've already said, and basically we're looking for a couple of things: who you are, what you do, what you have to offer, and who or what in terms of partnerships you are looking for, or who and what you are looking for in terms of your solutions to add to your partnership. Right, off we go. Can I hand over to Richard now, please?
Thank you kindly, Andy, and thank you all potential collaborators. I hope this goes well for you. Okay, so first up, we've got a curious speaker, Simon Saunders from Ofcom, who's of course the regulator in this space. would like a couple of minutes just to sort of set out their stall and what their involvement in this program and innovation might be. Simon, are you there, sir?
I am here. Can you hear me, Richard?
Perfectly. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm very happy to be your curious presenter for this afternoon. And thanks even for finding a logo of ours, because I don't have any slides to show you. So I'm Simon Saunders. I'm Director of Emerging Technology at Ofcom. And I'm not pitching as a bidder in this project, but I did want to answer questions we've been getting about our role and potential role in this. So just a word or two about emerging technology. So our team acts as really Ofcom's eyes and ears into the world of emerging technology. We do that across all of the sectors that Ofcom has interest in, so mobile, fixed line, broadcast, satellite, and indeed increasingly our duties relating to the online world in both content and networks. And we do that both at the sort of very bleeding edge of technology, as it were, really, long-term disruptive technologies, through technologies that are coming into the market, and on into day-to-day policy projects where we act as sort of internal technology consultants on policy projects that are happening all around Ofcom and its teams. So sort of halfway along that journey in between the day-to-day and the very long term is a role that I think we're going to be increasingly taking, maybe not something we did so much of in the past, of actually sort of actively supporting, enabling and encouraging innovation across the areas of priority for us. And although Ofcom very much takes a broadly technology neutral stance in its regulation and so on, when it comes to enabling proofs of concept, test beds and so on, inevitably that means working with practical, realistic technologies to establish, that these technologies do exist and can actually deliver for consumers and for industry besides. So in that context, this 5G Create initiative is very interesting to us. It fits in well with that desire to enable and encourage innovation. And that could be interesting for us both in terms of the underlying networks and the technology used in those networks, making that flexible, cost-effective, high performance, and easy to deploy, but also in terms of the content and the use cases for that. So we're interested in not only, if you like, our traditional view of connectivity technologies, but also ways in which that connectivity technology might allow for new activities by new players, delivering new services that are more satisfying as a result. So we're keen to sort of monitor and understand what ideas and consortia are emerging into this programme. We can offer, of course, support for some logistics. In particular, our spectrum team has the shared access spectrum license framework that, if you're building a test bed from scratch, is probably a natural approach to securing the spectrum that you might need. And we can help you through that process, and that's available to anybody that wants to do that. And then, as the process rolls forwards, we're very happy to hear about the ideas people have, and post completion of the process, we'd be very open to providing input into the projects that emerge in whatever role is appropriate in typically an advisory and dissemination role, if projects fit our interests and priorities. But given what I've said about the breadth of our interest and the relevance of this programme, there's a high likelihood that they would be of interest to us. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. My colleague Ayan Ghosh is on the call, and he'll put his email address into the chat window if there is anything you want to discuss with us or any suggestions you'd like to make. Thank you very much.
Thank you kindly, Simon, and well delegated to Ayan there. So Ayan, pop the contact details in there. I would imagine there'll be a queue of people inquiring after shared spectrum in the not too distant future. Okay, so here's the running order for the proper companies, if Ofcom will forgive me. We've got 20 that I know of. I've seen some noise in the chat that we might be missing some. We'll see what we can do about that as we go on, and subject to time. First up though, welcome. Probably most people have heard of this brand, Nokia. Graham, are you out there, sir?
Hi, Graham.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can,
Perfect.
sir.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, it's small, fairly unknown brand, Nokia. My role within Nokia is I look after the Scottish business. I'm based in Glasgow, but also have a dual role looking after Nokia's software business. So Nokia have moved on considerably. So to kick off, we have very limited input in the mobile phone business anymore, other than powering the networks that make them work. So in terms of the pitch. Nokia here, we won't look to front any bids. Our aim is to work with partners. We've got a very much a partner first approach around taking our solutions to market. So we're looking to work in that mode. I mean, Nokia is a business, 110,000 employees, around 40,000 of those are based in R&D and innovation. So we're keen to collaborate and look at working with partners to define and enhance solutions. So to kick off, I work within the enterprise side of the business. So Nokia traditionally big carrier focus in terms of putting infrastructure in to power the carriers networks. Our enterprise business has been going for about 3 years now, and it's very much a partner first approach. So we're looking to work with people to take our story to market. The end-to-end portfolio Nokia has, I can't do justice in 3 minutes, so we'll skim through as quickly as we can, but we feel our end-to-end portfolio is one of the strongest in the global market. The slides I'm showing, the 3 parts to that are the connectivity piece, so that's the fixed networks, IP routing, optical, and the mobile side around the radios to power it. We've got Nokia software business, as I say, which I look after in the UK and Ireland, but that's all about the analytics, the IoT, the orchestration, digital operations. We've got a huge portfolio in there that can take the data that the customers are using and turn it into business intelligence. And from the services side, we have our global services piece, so we can act as an SI to help pull the solutions together. But within that, we've also got a Bell Labs consultancy piece, so that's where a lot of the innovation is done. As I'm sure you're aware, Bell Labs is an established name, and we've got a team of 40,000 based within the Bell Labs side of the business, which I say is looking at innovation. So what I want to try and focus on for this, rather than the comprehensive end-to-end portfolio, is what we're doing in 5G to try and kind of meet the brief of the session. So if you can click to the next slide, Richard. So at a high level, there's a lot of momentum in 5G. Nokia at the moment has over 100+ engagements. We've got 66 signed customers. We've got 19 live networks on the carrier side. But more importantly, we're doing a lot in the enterprise space, and we've got 130 private wireless customers up and running around the globe. Now, the focus of that, and it ties in probably to what Simon talked about, is obviously there's the spectrum made available. Shared spectrum to start powering these private wireless networks, and what that can do in terms of different industries is start to drive new business opportunities in terms of making everything smart. So kind of some of the things we're trying to do at the moment around this is automation in areas like smart ports, mining, smart cities, smart energy. So what we're looking to do is work with people to develop apps and solutions that can power our network.
Hello. Are you still there?
Sorry, Graham. 1, 2 testing.
Okay. Sorry, Graham, you seem to have dropped off. Okay, can we move on to the next presentation? I do apologise, Graham.
Righto. Oh, hopefully we'll get him back at some stage. But the next lucky detector, 5G 3i.
Hear me?
Yes,
Indeed we can.
you've got 3 minutes. Can we try and
Yeah.
keep time?
This is an early stage startup, and what we're looking for is sensor partners and service providers to jointly develop distributed smart sensor platforms. Our core technology is in mixed signal IC design, sensor analog front end, scalable neural network, system integration and connectivity platform solution. We already look at this as a collaboration framework, and our target is to develop edge devices for the ultra reliable, low latency and massive machine type communication. Next slide. What we would specifically offer is the IC design for the analog front end and the scalable neural network on chip. Prototype in 28 nanometer within this competition, and we'll follow up with a product. It's going to be a distributed deep neural network with configurable local aggregation. We believe this is a differentiated solution. It would offer post-deployment training configuration, be able to deliver intelligence at the edge through the sensor interface, local data acquisition with enhanced response detection and classification on chip. We're also looking at it as a sensor array. So we're really looking at improved fault tolerance and increased sensitivity and dynamic range with the sensor array systems. Next slide. So as a summary, it is a disruptive technology for intelligent mesh networks, enables measurement integrity and fault detection, reducing data transmission requirements, and we'll be looking at sensor fusion in real time, enabling significant improvement in fault verification and intelligent secure feedback from the sensor node. So the goal is to bring AI to the sensor node's edge of the network, and as a startup, we're looking for sensor partners as well as platform service providers for prototype development. And I will provide our contact information for anybody who would like to partner with us to bring this sensor platforms into the bid for the 5G Create. Thank you very much.
Thank you kindly, Tao. Moving on, ADAPT or ADAPT, Adaptive Media. Are you out there, please?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matthew Mays. I'm the co-founder of ADAPT, and we're looking for partners who want to do something with our new AI-based adaptive video format. Now, adaptive media is digital media that adapts to people in real time based upon how they appear and how they react. To use an analogy, if you meet someone for the first time and you don't know their name, their date of birth, where they're from, you haven't seen their LinkedIn or their social media, in fact, you've got no data about them whatsoever, actually, all of us have all the data we need. We just analyze the person in front of us based on factors like demographic. Are they young, old, emotion, happy, sad, surprised, mood, and we adapt to them. So that's effectively what we're doing with our format, using artificial intelligence, working within the device and using the camera within the device to serve content to the viewer. We think we're well suited for the competition because we are a video format. If you think about it, video has remained unchanged for almost 1.5 centuries. So if you think about YouTube, it's still linear. Ours is a format that adapts to people. It's very fundamentally different. We work on any smartphone, tablet, digital totem, any device with a browser and enabled camera. We're very good at capturing, measuring and rewarding viewer attention. And the format is very scalable, obviously, because it's on the device opposed to on the server. Final point in the top right, we're fully GDPR compliant. Please don't confuse us with facial recognition. We're not in that business. We don't want to be in that business. Ours is very much a kind of a creative format. Next slide, please. So there'll be a full demo on our website, but there are two key components to our solution. The first is our SDK, which is a tiny JavaScript, 750 kilobytes, and we use that to run inside the browser, and that's what we use to perceive the viewer. So we can tell if they're happy, sad, moods, paying attention, not paying attention. So it's very useful for things like education formats. And we can obviously fully validate the oppression with anonymized aggregate data. The second part is our video creator software, which will be available as a SaaS. And that works as a 300 kilobyte media player, which can use to play back the content around a given situation, whether it's healthcare or travel or something like that. And to explain it very simply, you can smile and turn left or frown and turn right, but obviously it's a lot more complex than that. We're open to working with anyone with great ideas. We provide services here. We have film directors that we work with, but also very happy to work with creative agencies as well. The one thing we'd say as a new format is quite specialist. Next slide, please. So in terms of some thought starters of things we could do, we're currently working in the realm of education. We're working on another project with a UK charity that helps disadvantaged young adults in vocational learning. So the thing that we're doing there is using our face analysis to put them in soft skills interview training situations. Under the current world we're in at the moment, people living in self-isolation, you can use our format to measure well-being. You can use it to help people with conditions like autism. We have a neurologist in Rome who's using our SDK to analyze brain patterns for conditions like Parkinson's. So his vision is in the future being able to do health training tutorials for people with specific neurological conditions. Obviously, it's an entertainment format. You could create an episode of, if anyone saw Bandersnatch, but ours goes beyond that and it uses emotion. I've got a great idea for music. If anyone knows Elton John or anybody, we can create a pop promo that adapts based upon the emotional reaction of the fan. And a final thought for kind of local governments and things. Our format's got lots and lots of potential for people like visiting, for tourism, where the content will adjust and adapt, whether someone's younger or older. And I put my contact details into the presentation. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Matthew. Some interesting looking tech there. Arise Studio, would you care to arise and make yourself known to us, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
Indeed we can, sir. Who are you? What do you do?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you. Can you hear us? I feel like I'm doing Eurovision.
I was
1,
just
2,
about
3.
the same thing. Hello. Jonathan. We can
Oh, okay, sorry, I couldn't hear anything. Right, so this is Arise Studio. Very quickly, because I know I've eaten up some of my time. We are very new, but actually myself and the founder have been working at immersive content production for many years through lots of different companies and for lots of different brands. And we felt it was actually time to actually sort of work together on creating our own experiences. So we kind of specialize in obviously immersive, so VR and AR, but also in particular spatial computing. So the co-founder Matthew Stillard worked very closely with Magic Leap and the launch of the HTC Vive. So we are effectively a production company and a creative company that have incredible partnerships with lots of freelancers, and we're able to put anything pretty epic together. We're based in the Midlands, based here in Birmingham, so we've obviously been having conversations with West Midlands 5G as well. We can go to the next slide. So the thing that particularly is interesting for us with regard to 5G is that we really feel there's a perfect storm happening right now, and that is several things. Esports are growing incredibly in terms of popularity and the amount of people participating, so that's one side. There's also a very large increase in fitness. There's a huge amount of growth there. There's obviously a rising obesity crisis here in the UK. The sporting calendar is looking particularly interesting in 2022. We've been having conversations, for example, with the Commonwealth Games organisers. There's the Olympics next year. So we feel all that will come together. And the last point of that perfect storm effectively is mixed reality glasses. Facebook, Apple have announced potential glasses coming out. So we feel we can bring all this together in a collaboration, looking at how we can encourage fitness and exercise through mixed reality. If we can go to the next slide. So we're looking particularly, we have a very good relationship with the fitness industry, people like Les Mills. For example, I personally hosted the Future of Fitness Technology Conference a few years ago. So we can bring fitness together. We can obviously do the immersive production, but I would like to sort of reach out to anybody, particularly from game design, from branding, anybody creative, AI, cloud services, telecoms, and 5G, where we can bring effectively a live esports fitness-based experiences, starting off in Birmingham, but then scale that out. So hopefully that's within the 3 minutes. I know I took up a few seconds at the start.
Thank you kindly, Jonathan. Athernet OpenXG, are you open there?
Yes, we are. Hello, London.
Thank you. Can we have your votes for? No, please. Tell us about Athernet. What's your offer? What are you looking for, sir?
So Athernet is the largest player with an install base in private LTE and 5G globally, focused on the private LTE market. We have over 1,000 installations, over 500,000 SIMs in private LTE. We're the only platform that you can actually click to deploy from AWS, and you'll see some of our deployments. That's the iconic launch of CBRS in Times Square using our AWS-powered network for AR, VR, point of sale, digital signage, etc. Clicking from AWS, we did the world's first private LTE network in a school at the Murray School District in Salt Lake City in the US. We are also powering private networks for Deutsche Telekom in Nürburgring, Modena Smart City with Maserati and others in Italy. I mean, out of the thousands that we do. And some of our partners are on the call today, but one of the more interesting ones that we just won the International Critical Comms Awards for is the 5G ready edge compute private LTE network for the America's Cup. So an ocean-based private LTE network which upgrades to 5G. So what are we looking for in the next on the next page? So put that slide in there because I love Maseratis, and that's what we're doing, the smart city that we're doing in Modena. So we're building on the wonderful spectrum that Ofcom's released. We're doing the first production 5G network nationwide on UK's 3.8 to 4.2 gigahertz open spectrum for 5G, and hence that's why we call it OpenXG. It's going to be LTE and 5G. We've got this entire platform running on AWS, and you can just, if you're a venue owner or an operator or a system integrator or an application like we heard from Arise or anyone else, you can literally just come onto our network on AWS and go live. And we've got the radios, etc., and devices prepared for the 3.8 to 4.2 gigahertz, the 400 megahertz that Ofcom's releasing in the UK. We are not a test bed. You know, if you want to take your product commercially, we're a commercial platform. We can monetize your application, your venue globally through our partnership with AWS on both open spectrum and also with licensed spectrum in the partnerships we have with mobile operators as well. We're willing to lead or play a very strong partnership role. We're looking for venue owners, people like stadiums, museums, galleries, smart cities, schools, public spaces, anyone who'd like to come onto our OpenXG network in the UK and demonstrate what they can do in their venues, applications, people who are studios, AR, VR, AI, art, robotics, cyber physical systems, industrial control, smart cities, factory manufacturing, ports, airports, whatever you want to do. Please come onto our click to deploy network on AWS and just go live. And we're looking for system integrators or even operators who want to use our platform. What we're trying to build is the world's largest OpenXG network where anybody from anywhere in the world can simply come on, click on Amazon and get a network up. Thank you.
Thank you kindly, sir.
Rich, can I just interrupt for a second? I've just had a message from Graham from Nokia. He apologises profusely. The Virgin network, which is had an engineer working on it at the end of his road, decided to cut the entire street off halfway through his presentation. So I do apologise, and he sends his apologies, and he will try and join by phone later to update us if he can.
Thank you kindly. That does kind of raise the fiber versus wireless. No, let's not go there. Let's go to AWTG, AWTG 5G as a service. Are you out there, sir?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Richard Barrington, and I'm Business Development Director for AWTG. Next slide, please. So we've been described as one of the world's leading 5G systems integrators, TAB. And we've been trusted to deliver 5G testbeds and trials through phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 of the 5G testbeds and trials program. And we're trusted by carriers. We've delivered 5G over 2,500 cell sites across 27 cities so far. And we're trusted by the regulators and governments to actually deliver both the networks and also supporting evidence behind the networks. And the last slide. And we're trusted by the vendors. So we are Nokia's first approved private network provider in the UK. We work extensively with Ericsson, Cisco, and CommScope, and other vendors of similar bent. Next slide. The challenge for anybody trying to do one of these testbeds and trials is there is a massive amount of complexity in putting one together. And although we can do that, and we're doing this for a couple of the potential bidders for the 5G Creates program. Next slide. What we think most of you are going to want is 5G as a service, something that makes it really simple to do, that it reduces the risk of your program sliding because you haven't been able to get a network up and running. You've got somebody here who is a tried and trusted safe pair of hands. We're going to help you reduce the stress of DIY and accelerate the time it takes you to get to use case deployment so you can actually extract more value from your testbed more quickly. It also simplifies the procurement because it's subscription pricing, or we can do a combination of capital expenditure and operating expense. All depends on your particular need. So if we can help you deliver 5G as a service, then contact me, richard.barrington@awtg.co.uk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Well, there we go. And there was more. Okay. Now then, I was struggling on how to pronounce this. Selfienet, Kelfinet. So that, are you out there? And how do you pronounce your name?
One, two. It's Selfienet.
Selfienet.
Yeah.
I was right first time.
You were right first time. Perfect. So Henry McDonald from Selfienet. I'm the head of business strategy. And if you can scroll to next slide, please. We're a global company serving mostly mobile network operators, and we provide software solutions, automation, and technology services. So we're right in the heart of provision of, well, actually even back in the day of 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G networks. We're present in 40 countries, of over 230 engineers, and we've been in the business for 17 years. Next slide, please. So our capabilities, I've got basically 2 slides here, and we've got 3 capabilities. One is around mobile network energy efficiency. The use case is to reduce the energy consumption in 5G networks, and we can provide things like AI algorithms to predict network power, and we also have measurement solutions to assess the impact of tweaking things such as hardware, software, even vendor swaps, etc., in a field environment. And what we're looking for here is partners interested in harnessing that capability to either meet green targets or reduce costs. Second one is cost-effective rural coverage. And in this case, we are doing some research on antenna sector rotation. And we have other sort of high technology research going on, but basically to try and extend 5G coverage with a lower base station count. And especially in rural areas, unlike urban areas, beamforming will have a lower impact. And so therefore you're really looking to fill in the coverage holes. And again, looking for partners who can work with us to bring those to, essentially bring those to market and make them work. Next one, please. So last one is private networks and industry 4.0 development. So the use case is around planning and commissioning private networks, especially for use in industrial applications, but could be any vertical. And we have things like 5G propagation models to support accurate planning on networks. We've got algorithms to support user context-aware requirements, including location, height, motion, and whether they're indoor, outdoor, etc. And algorithms to automatically manage the networks and improve customers' experience. And basically, we think that together with other partners, we can use that capability to rapidly develop 5G private networks. And that is the end of our pitch. Thank you very much.
Thank you kindly. Right here, there you go. Pop your contact details into the chat box now, and they should form a queue, I'd imagine. Cryptolabs, are you out there? Come in, Cryptolabs. One, two, testing. Okay, let's move on. This is another one I have difficulty pronouncing. EDCOM, are you out there, please?
Yes, good afternoon, London. It's Mikko Uusitalo from sunny Helsinki. Can you hear me?
Indeed we can, sir.
All right, very good. Well, thanks for the opportunity. We learned about these projects a few months ago when we had DCMS visiting here in Helsinki and decided to
Don't waste your time.
see if we can leverage that. So we are basically a pure play private network operator based in Helsinki, Finland. We have 26 live networks out there today. And we have our own platform that also leverages some of the partners we've seen here today, like Atonet and Nokia. And we have licensed spectrum in 3 countries at the moment. We focus on 5 segments, industrial segments. So we do energy, generation, manufacturing, oil and gas, and then logistics supply chain, like airports, Helsinki airports, places like that. And what we do is we build, design, operate private networks on 4G and on 5G moving forward. We are currently expanding outside the Nordics, and our first target is UK. And we would like to move some of our R&D into UK and setting up a kind of innovation hub in United Kingdom, and actually leverage the program here to have a further development on our current approach. And we were one of the first in the world about 3 years ago when we started to deploy these networks, and we believe we are way ahead of some of the competition. If you move to the next slide, please. So here's what we are aiming to do. We're planning to actually take all the learnings we have and work together with the partners and consortia in this case to actually simplify the acquisition, design, deployment, and operations of these 5G networks, private wireless networks, so that actually it becomes very easy for any of the customers to acquire them. And that would require us to work with some of the regulators like Ofcom or ARCEP in France, some operators like Vodafone or let's say Hutchinson that we have done in Sweden, and actually make sure that we can make easily available for the customers the spectrum needed at affordable cost, complying with some technical constraints they have. Then what we would like to do is leverage the know-how we have and some tools and databases to actually make then the parameters available for customers so they can provide more insight for their network needs and actually get the specs and radio plan out of the solution, and then provide an easily orderable solution that may have components from many different partners and many different vendors that can be easily orderable, deployable, and operator pretty much from the web. And if you move the next slide, please. We find this program very interesting. Seems to fit to our plans very well. We would like to develop our technology together with the consortia by setting up and having this UK presence to start with. Work with the partners and then the regulators across Europe, and then provide actually this offering that I just talked about. And we believe that we fairly well meet with the requirements, and we would still like to find, as we formalize some of the current partners we are discussing, a few more members for the consortia. We would like to lead the consortia, so we'd like to lead things. So basically 1 or 2 additional pilot customers, some web UI design, and perhaps some regulatory experts. So if you're interested in working with us, please contact me. You can reach me out from the details there, and looking forward to get this going. Thank you.
Thank you kindly, Mikko. Useful contribution there. Hanha XG. I hope I said that right. Delivering truth at scale. Are you there, sirs?
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Indeed, we can.
Perfect. Hi there. My name is Azar Hussain. I'm from Hanha. Next slide, please. So we're going to talk about a particular application that we'd like to explore with the group. Essentially, the problem we're trying to solve is very much in the plumbing of the IoT side. In other words, how do you connect the device at the edge directly into the user's environment such that it's easy to adopt, it's secure, and is effective? And we have a concept where we are looking to connect through a USB connector with an embedded 5G connection, the end device directly into, let's say, Windows Active Directory. What that means practically is that it allows the IoT device to surface within the Windows environment. It doesn't have to be Windows, but just as an example. And it means that all the attributes of that IoT device are now visible as a service to every application on that network. And what this does, it really takes away a lot of the pain people have of getting the devices into the output from the devices into a usable form that's secure, that's affordable, that scales commercially and globally. And that's our kind of high-level overview of what we'd like to do. Next slide, please. A little bit about who we are. So we've been going for 5 years now. We're in the logistics space today, and we're kind of expanding ourselves into this new area with IoT for other applications. We're actually a mobile network operator, so we have our own mobile network code, we have our own network core, we do our own signaling. We also now have SMSR, SMDP, and SMDP Plus. We're also an ISP of our own, so we have our own V4, V6 IP ranges. We also now are starting to deploy some private LTE applications. We support from 400 megahertz to 5.9 gigahertz spectrums. We're also developing some propositions around 5G CPEs, where we're looking to extend corporate networks directly to the edge, such that the 5G Wi-Fi box becomes a seamless part of a corporate network's administration and security. Next slide, please. Wow, 3 minutes is not long. So who are we looking for? We're looking for hardware partners, network specialists, billing specialists, device manufacturers. Essentially, we're happy to talk to anybody. We're just really expanding ourselves into this new area and looking for advice, looking for support, and we think we have a lot to contribute to the right group. Thanks very much.
Thank you kindly, Azar. Moving on. We've got to the eyes. Immersive Story Lab. Tell us a story, Immersive Story Lab. Hello, can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Indeed so.
Oh, you can. Brilliant. Okay, hi. Hi, I'm Rose Kay of Immersive Story Lab, and we make geolocated augmented reality story world experiences. Think high-end segments of film located around specific locations like town squares, along a coastal path, a shopping mall, an airport. We're award-winning international filmmakers, digital artists, animators and developers using innovative technology to enchant place with story. So what can we offer a 5G consortium? Well, we can provide exciting, unforgettable use case material in most sectors. The public don't really think about the amazing tech behind 5G. They only care about what it does. So our wow experiences, characters coming out of walls, appearing like magic, making them laugh, cry and wonder in places where they've never experienced entertainment or education before, that's what will impress them. Can we have the next slide, please? So this is a selection of our unique offering. What we do is we move people. We move them emotionally with powerful storytelling, and we move them physically with innovative geolocational tech. Audiences want to be moved. They expect more than passive experiences nowadays. And post-COVID, we think they'll want even more active experiences. Brands know the value of moving people, of out-of-home marketing, and organizations know that moving people emotionally through story gets messages out, changes behavior for good purposes, much more effectively than non-story methods. So interactive story is even more powerful. It's been proved to be 7 times more effective than other interventions. So our work so far includes an AR story leading users along coastal paths, promoting environmental issues, AR experiences for museums, art galleries, community heritage, long distance train journeys with LNER. We're working on an app for transport hubs, which uses AR 3D characters as companion avatars to help wayfinding for passengers with hidden disabilities, like my daughter who has autism and hearing loss. With the Frankfurt Book Fair, we're taking AR filmic story quests right into people's homes during lockdown. We're working with Manchester City Football Club using our AR 3D characters to encourage fans to walk to the stadium. So there's lots of ways that it's used there. Can you give me the next slide, please? Thanks. We've worked with internationally renowned companies like the BBC, Netflix, BFI and Microsoft, with whom we've done cutting edge R&D. And we have the support of leading universities like MMU, Liverpool, John Moores. We've been funded by Innovate, UK, Digital Catapult, the Arts Council, and we have immersive tech partners all over the world. Because we combine award-winning storytelling capabilities with state-of-the-art technological skills, we produced one of the first live-action volumetrically filmed AR experiences with partners Dimension Studio, who are the first volumetric studio in Europe. And our applications provide a range of relevant functions like AR navigation, metric gathering, sign or object detection, safety alerts, and geospatial data management, all packaged up for the user in unmissable drama, leading people through new spaces and imaginative worlds. So please get in touch if this service could enhance your consortium offering, or if you need a partner or a supplier to showcase the power of your sector's 5G capability to the general public. I'm Dr. Rose Kay, and that's my email on the slide. Thanks very much.
Thank you kindly, Rose. Very interesting. Imperium Drive. Imperium Drive. Kusha, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. So hi everybody, my name is Kusha. I'm the founder and CEO of Imperium Drive. We are a startup based in London, developing remote driving technologies for vehicles and machines. Our technology is essentially a pipeline, a communication pipeline that we're currently developing on LTE and later looking to use 5G to enhance the performance of it. Our technology provides a communication link between a teleoperator, what you see in the pictures, which is a human being behind a set of screens and joysticks, and the car or the machine, the other side, with live streamings of cameras being on the vehicle, be able to basically, control the vehicle safely on the road in confined areas. Our technology is primarily aimed at autonomous vehicles and be able to have a human in the loop in case something goes wrong with autonomy when the autonomous vehicles are out. However, in the short term, we're looking to apply our technology for non-autonomous use cases to remotely operate vehicles and machines in confined areas such as ports, mines, airports, construction sites, and so on. For non-autonomous use cases, there are 2 benefits of our solution. One is to increase operator safety. So by removing a truck operator or a forklift operator in a warehouse and having him sit remotely, we will increase his or her safety if the environment is harsh and hazardous. We are also able to have one operator control more than one vehicles, because by having him sit remotely, you reduce the ideal time of the operator. So next slide, please. So the project idea is, again, using 5G to remotely operate vehicles and machines. As I mentioned, you know, some examples that we have in mind is forklifts in factories or warehouses can be retrofitted with our technology and remotely operated. Machineries in mines, same can happen with them. Construction equipments and so on. So any environment where there is a tendency for automation and removing the operator, we are able to contribute to that project. So we are, in terms of our service offerings, we are a software company, so we offer an end-to-end software solution for teleoperation, but we will also go as far as training teleoperators and also retrofitting your current equipment. So the current manual machines and vehicles can be retrofitted by us to make them remotely controlled. What we are looking for is first a 5G infrastructure provider, being a network operator or a private operator to be able to test our solution in a live 5G environment. We're also looking for fleet operators. So, you know, manufacturing companies who have a lot of forklifts, ports and logistics centers who have a lot of yard trucks moving containers around, crane providers who would like to remove their operator from the crane and have him sit remotely and achieve efficiencies, mining companies and so on, to come forward and show their interest in forming a consortium. We're also interested to work with, obviously, research institutes who are interested in researching teleoperated driving or remote operated driving or operation, and consider things like human factors and stuff and research that as well as part of the consortium. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kusha. Lokiva, private 5G networks. Again, I wish these names came with pronunciation details. Are you there, and how do we pronounce you? Hello, can you hear us?
Oh, hey, you can hear me now, I imagine. So?
Ah, yes.
Good. Can you go back a slide?
Of course, sir. There we go.
So Lokiva is a small business in the US with a partner in the UK, and we focus on basically providing private 4G, 5G networks based on Nokia RAN. Can you go back, please?
Absolutely. Seems to want to do it itself. Must be on a timer, right?
The benefit of the system we're providing from Nokia is that it is and can operate in unlicensed bands. You can offer NSA or SA solutions. And in the UK, we expect that the N77 band, 3.8 gig to 4.2 gig space, will be available for this project. The benefit of the system we offer is effectively a low capex upfront with a monthly access fee, and the private network fees are relatively low if you want to make any inquiries. Primary markets, well, private managed access networks, we believe in people owning the edge of their network, and it connects to a cloud-based core for signaling and authentication only, with a time delay so that you can access the local resources for about a month before they go off. This timer is definitely set incorrectly. Could you go back again one more point? Thank you. And again, the systems we provide have been deployed in various different places, on drones, on robot dogs, and actually inside ENOBs themselves. Next slide. So private 5G networks, as stated before, are complicated, and the Nokia solution aims to help make that a simpler proposition, in that we provide you with a kit, you connect it up, and 5 minutes later you're working. There are 3 models of radios, which we'll come to in a moment, and we can provide systems with multiple GNOBs, providing you with coverage in different locations. And the channel bandwidth generally will dictate throughput speed for you. And if you look on the bottom right here, we've got a variety of different indications of which spectrum gives you which data rates for your reference points. So the next slide and final slide. Thanks for your help. Here are a view of the 3 different radio types that are available in our N77 systems. In this case, we have a beamforming system, which is useful for outdoors with spatial digital beamforming. Wide frequency ranges in the N77 band to give you maximum data rates. These radios are carrier grade, and they will give you ultimate reliability in your deployments. There are a lot of other different types of radios from different vendors around, but these ones actually have software that increases with, I guess, growth from carrier deployment. And you get the benefits of the software in these radios that impact your reliability. So in this case, 3 different radios, different power levels, different capacity levels, and different power requirements, all controlled from an edge-based 5G core, which then can also connect to a cloud EPC for authentication. Thank you very much.
Thank you kindly. Please pop your contact details into the chat box before you go away. Yeah, hopefully we'll get some conversations going between you and some of the others. Righto, Millbrook Testing Proving Ground. Are you there?
Richard, radio check.
Take it away, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Peter Stoker. I'm the Chief Engineer for Connected and Autonomous Vehicles at Millbrook, and this is my 3-minute, 3-slide deck. First time I did this one in the telecoms community was about 2.5 years ago, which was the first pitch for the DCMS 5G Testbeds and Trials. And now look at where we are. So we're currently host to 2 testbeds, one funded by CCAV for Connected and Autonomous Vehicles, which is the controlled urban testbed. And the second was the auto air testbed, which was funded by DCMS. And you can see the collaborators there on the auto air testbed. A lot's been said about it. There's a lot of noise around the auto air testbed, and we have finished our DCMS project, and now we're moving into a sustainable and commercial model. So we're offering our testbed to potential members of the consortium. What I'd like to look at is essentially some of the equipment that we have on site and some of the facilities that we're able to offer people. So next slide, please. So Millbrook is 100% British, impartial, independent, safe and secure. So our motto is, please come to Millbrook and fail in private. Do not fail in public. On the auto air testbed, we have around 59 masts across the 700 acres of site. And you can see them color coded there. So we have a flat part of Millbrook and a hilly part of Millbrook. We're running around 100 radio stations, 166 pieces of equipment altogether. We have our own on-site core, and we are running a private network on 2.3 and 3.6, 4G LTE. We're also running 22 70 gigahertz millimeter wave base stations around the high-speed track. You can see there in yellow. That has given us a great use case for high-speed rail, uploading up to around 3 gigabits per second from a moving vehicle at 160 miles an hour. We're also running 5G, and in our hill area, we're backing our cellular network with a 60 gigahertz mesh backhaul network, so we can test for rural connectivity in areas where there's sparse cellular. We also have, for those that like the alternative, 40 DSRC O2211P, 5.9 gigahertz RSUs scattered around the site as well for interaction, all backed up with around 30 kilometers of fiber and power. We have extensive high definition CCTV around the site as well, coupled with 1 centimeter object-to-object positioning using some Ofcom licensed RTK correction systems. Next slide, please. So what are our projects? So we offer test services to the CAV and telecoms industry. We have private 4G and 5G DCMS backed testbed in place already, and we're already testing CAVs and components and systems. What's innovative is it's really open to everybody. We have no favoritism on site. There's no branding on site. We're independent. We are linked to the UK Testbed Coordination Organisation, ZENSIC for CAVs and UK5G. And we're not an IP threat or compromise. So we're not interested in IP. We will protect our customers' IP. We offer development trials, tests and demonstrations on vehicles, components and systems across 80 kilometers of tracks and 900 acres of land, lots of different scenarios. So we're looking for startups, SMEs, OEMs, consortia, regulators, government. We do on-off-road testing, static or dynamic, and work in city, urban and interurban logistics as well. Don't have to be a piece of transportation, so it can be a piece of equipment, an innovation, an application, but we are a private and secure site. We also have a tech park where we can host startups and so on while they're on site as well. And if you're really interested in finding a little bit more about us, there, if you Google Auto Air Past and Future, you'll find a nice long video describing what we've been up to recently. That's what I have. Thank you for listening.
Thank you kindly, Peter. I'd also add it's a great venue for dissemination of events. In fact, thank you. Righto. Predictable network solutions. Are you there, please?
Yes, I am. So we're basically on a slightly different track from most of your speakers so far. We're involved in defining, measuring and modeling performance of systems built with 5G or otherwise. Go next slide, please. Okay, so I think it's interesting to ask what end users want, whether those are consumer end users or industrial end users. They care about their application performance. So the time between doing some sort of click and some sort of action, whether we're talking about a video game or whether we're talking about a teleoperated forklift truck, and obviously if we're doing any kind of video delivery or concert streaming event, they're interested in the frame rate and all that. They're also interested in the consistency of that performance. It's in many cases not really very useful to deliver a fantastic performance under optimal conditions if an adequate performance can't be maintained under worst case conditions. So really the question of the consistency of the performance, regardless of issues to do with the network, whether you want a cell edge, whether your SNR has been degraded and so forth, or the amount of traffic on the network, and indeed what other users may be doing. So that's really the kind of thing people do care about. What they don't care about, unfortunately, is 5G, or bandwidth particularly, or latency, or any of the exciting technical things which we like to demonstrate, only insofar as those impact the things they do care about. So the question is how these are related. So what we have been doing over the last 15 years really is to develop a rigorous approach, a mathematically based approach to relate application performance to network performance. And we do this via a measure that we call quality attenuation, which for historical reasons we write delta Q. And this is a mathematically composable measure. I'm not going to go into the significance of that, but that is quite important for the things you can do with it. From the point of view of products, it delivers highly granular visibility about what's happening in the end-to-end network. And this is an approach which is currently in the process of being standardized in the broadband forum. We've used it in a wide range of contexts, from wireless mesh networks for the US military, to commercial network operators, both fixed and mobile, particularly helping them diagnose performance issues in their networks and with various kinds of applications. And we've also applied it at the kind of application level for distributed applications, for example, proof of stake blockchain systems. Okay, next slide, please. So the kinds of things we can do is to measure network performance in this advanced way, which enables us to localize where any issues may be arising. It gives a very precise and deep view of the effects of technology or configuration changes. We can also measure the application requirements in terms of this parameter. So we have an environment which enables us to emulate the quality attenuation of a network. and this is more robust really than having to emulate the whole network. We can just reproduce its impact in the way that it impacts applications, and we can do that repeatedly. So that provides a way of doing performance regression tests, for example, for application developers. We can also model system performance. I said we have a mathematically based approach, and this enables us to combine both synthetic models based on architecture and so forth with measurements taken of particular network segments or technologies. And we can model the effect of various edge cases and the effects of correlated loads and so forth to address these questions of how consistent and reliable the performance is going to be. So we're interested in projects that are aiming to deliver reliable application outcomes, to deliver assured services, and particularly anything to do with safety, safety of life or business critical services. We have a lot to offer in terms of the assurance of that kind of delivery. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Thank you kindly, sir. Please pop your contact details into the chat box as we speak.
I shall do so.
Queen's University Belfast.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Indeed we can, Norbert. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Richard. So I'm the Business Development Manager here at Queen's University for the Center for Wireless Innovation. And I'd like to present our 5G millimeter wave testbed. I've only heard from 2 speakers so far about millimeter wave, despite the fact that this competition is going to run over a couple of years. So when it completes, we'll be entering the era of millimeter wave when mobile operators are launching it in the UK. Richard, next slide, please. So the Centre of Wireless Innovation at Queen's, it's the UK's largest research, development and exploitation base in physical layer wireless. We've been ranked last year #5 in Europe by the Shanghai Global Ranking of Telecoms Engineering. We've got a team of about 55 academics, postdocs, PhD students, but also engineers who work, who can work day to day with the company. And in this competition here, we are keen to find out from consortia who want to look into novel use cases in creative industries or others, since it's open more widely now, that will require wireless transmission at very high data rates, which will only be possible when we get to the millimeter wave frequencies, which are defined for the first stage at 24 to 28 gigahertz. So we are able to help for a horizon of about 2022, which will be the second stage of. So our researchers in the center have been working on millimeter wave for the past 8 years and builds concept devices that can transmit in that range of 24 to 28 gigahertz. Next slide, please. So we can offer access to our 5G millimeter wave testbed to test and measure new products, new systems that need to be millimeter wave ready by around 2022. Our testbed can help in experimentally validating the characteristics of the real environment propagation, again, millimeter wave, which is not yet available in the UK. We can provide full electromagnetic simulations, measurements that will help you understand the quality of service level of your new system or your new application, your new device that you intend to see work in millimeter wave. We'll can assist with rigorous academic grade, if you want, simulations, tests, measurements, analysis of prototype 5G devices that you will design for the 24 to 28 gigahertz frequency band. Our deep know-how and capabilities to implement millimeter wave beamforming technique can be useful to any consortium considering using very high data rates for their applications, because beamforming is an essential technique to provide very high data rates and very high reliability of wireless transmissions at high frequencies, defined in this case of 5G above 20 gigahertz. We've worked on it, and we've developed devices to explore for the past 8 years, as I said. So we have a deep understanding of the challenges in this new frequency band, which has never been used so far for cellular communications. So in a nutshell, that's what we have. You can see photos here of the different labs, which are all on the same floor, which we basically consider as a test bed, where we can do measurements up to 50 gigahertz even. We have one of two only in Europe, Keysight Technologies millimeter wave lab. The other one is University of Barcelona. So we are the only one in the UK. And we can also help you work on measuring and testing sensors and doing channel characterization. That's for us, Richard.
Thank you kindly. Some pretty far ahead of it test facilities there. So could very well be useful. Righto, now this one really is in alphabetical order because this is RCM squared as opposed to operator. RCM squared, are you there?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Indeed we can.
My name is Said Farroy. I'm the CEO of RCM2. We are a small company, small business in London, Wandsworth, with office also in Surrey. Our main activities have been both consultancy in systems engineering, but also providing full stack system integration. And my interest here is in remote health monitoring solutions because we've developed a IoT solution that we want to further. Our systems engineering especially is looking at any product safety, reliability to certification. So we do a lot of independent safety assessment and certification as well. We recently got 2 Innovate UK R&D awards, which was completed in December 2019, mostly on asset structural health monitoring. But I believe the lessons learned can be used in other industries. One of them was looking at the crane operation, offshore cranes, and we developed a stress predictor algorithm for predictive maintenance and replacement of or reducing maintenance on the boom structure. And the other one is use of optical fiber sensing for rail track and especially switches and crossing in the rail track. Again, fiber optic sensing it has got many industrial usages. Next slide, please. Right, so we, as part of these previous projects, we developed an IoT device. That's the picture you can see on the right, which is using NB-IoT. And with a PIC controller, you can remotely access data. And the main reason was to get the operation data from, for example, the cranes or from the track, the maintenance data or condition monitoring data remotely onto the cloud. So we are interested to develop this further, the prototype and proof of concept, because we believe our product is 5G ready. So this is basically, if you're interested in more details of our device, IoT device, and the benefits, please contact me and I'll send you my details. Next slide, please. Right, so what are we looking for? So as SME, we are very keen to work with end users as well as with other SMEs or startups. We have partnerships with universities. Again, we welcome that because they have a better sort of facilities for testing. Obviously, we are based in London Southeast, but we have worked together with the offshore crane operator in Aberdeen. So again, location isn't that important. So there is opportunity to develop this existing IPs that we've developed and generated with high throughput of data. And we have also got expertise in the past 25 years in multi-sensor fusion to predict what can go wrong. So for predictive algorithm in terms of the asset performance or health monitoring of even patients in the say care homes. Please feel free to contact me. And my name is again Said Farroy. I've given you my details, email and mobile number.
Thank you very much, Said. Have technology will travel by the sound of there. Righto, Shane Mitchell, Urban Peer. Are you there, Shane?
Hi, Richard. Yes, I'm here, and I'm run my own consultancy, and I've been involved with in the UK the last few years, and I'll run through a couple in a moment around developing programs, as I say here, around digitalization strategies and designing those, and then setting out a program of activity, exactly what we're trying to engage with here in this challenge. And I've been focused around cities, technology strategies, and how do we promote a level of sort of open entrepreneurship, bringing in new thinking ideas, and this terminology that's radical interconnectedness coming out of the open source and open data communities that I've been part of over this last, heavens, 15 years or more. The next slide, please. So actually, I want to go where Richard didn't go. I started with, there's a program that I shaped back in 2006 here, a program called Connected Urban Development, that I worked with Cisco on, that really was a forebearer of lots of our smart city stuff. We never called it as such. And it came out of a group that were evangelists for symmetrical two-way broadband, right? And I think that is still as valid today in enabling a true 5G system that is heterogeneous, that has multiple access points, whole different network architectures. And we decided, what if you had that, what could you do with it? And we then worked with places such as in the Nordics, in the Netherlands, in South Korea, that did have that. And we developed programs such as around the future of work, very resonant to now, looked at if work evolves to become location and time independent, and what are the network technologies and approaches and communities and ecosystems that need to happen to make that form. Looking at public transit, geospatial applications, and engaging lots of thinkers and doers around the world, bottom-up project level, and influencers such as the World Bank and think tanks, social innovators such as the Young Foundation. Next slide, please. And then I've been working across the UK, and one of the big things I've done is set up at IoT UK and designing that, making the case for the funding, and then executing on that with the Digital Catapult. Worked with the GSMA also in shaping some of their thinking around the mobile operators and their role in cities. And a point that's come across today, I just want to, there's this narrative way back then that was about, there was a battle between net heads and bell heads. And I think we're in the second phase of that. I read an article last week that said that. And it is those that are trying to maintain an evolution of the status quo and those that are trying to really rethink. And I think that's where, and lots of what I've just heard here, everybody seems to be on the nethead side, which is great news. I've worked with a load of UK institutions, from government to social innovators. Tech Resort, I set up myself down here on the South Coast, trying to create a digital cluster. Worked with a lot of sort of regional expertise and groupings, and part of the UK5G Connected Places Working Group. Also part of King's College at this point, and done stuff with the urban test bed that is operational. I guess I would just want to highlight that those that are trying to design programs and form consortiums and develop a program of activity, and how you can go and respond to tender and deliver that, you know, that there's some, you know, I've been around here and taking from the global experiences into the UK, and really I think we've made great progress in this country, but there's a battle right going on. What's happening in Japan with Open RAN and executing on that, the UK's got to respond to, and I think this type of competition is trying to get us to that. That's the exciting thing. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you kindly, Shane. Yeah, good larks back in the day. Hope we get up to some more of those in the not too distant future. Right, moving on. S for W, Welcome Trust. Hello, welcome. Are you there?
Hello, my name's Lucinda Jarrett. Can you hear me?
We can, Lucinda.
Great.
Off you go.
So I run Rosetta Life, which is a very small arts and health charity that's been running for 20 years, providing a catalyst for change in the arts. Very different from all the other presenters today. We represent a group of very vulnerable people we're delivering arts and healthcare programs to. And we want to deliver a 5G solution for that. So I'm just going to take you briefly through the story. We're part of a portfolio of 4 interventions that have been funded by the Wellcome Trust through King's College London to look at the scalability and the possibilities of delivering arts and health interventions that are already evidenced and have good research behind them across the country. The interventions look at people with Parkinson's, people with stroke and brain injury, mothers with postnatal depression, and young people living with autism. Together, all 3 interventions are dedicated to 2 key things. One is reducing depression, and the other is reducing social isolation. And therefore, they're designed to promote connectivity and inclusion. What we aim to do is create a single data set. So we're based in South London across Lambeth, Southwark and Lewisham and across King's Health Partners. If I could have the next slide now, please. So what we want to do, we have the funding to research this, and the research gives us our sustainability because it's implementation science research that looks at the scalability. And we have the funding to develop content. The content includes 360-degree filming access to performance rehearsals, immersive rehab trials for post-stroke, online studio interfaces for music making. And what we really need to do is to take this work from the margins of healthcare to the mainstream, and 5G will enable us to do that. We want to deliver large amounts of instantaneous remote data exchanges simultaneously. Also, we want to enable the research teams to find new ways to collect data, to monitor people's paths from home to accessing social inclusion activities, and to look at research data collection from apps and app generation. Of course, it's absolutely essential that however we use 5G, that it's a very secure network. We want to give people, when they're discharged from hospital, a single device that will enable them to access all the content that we can provide, this high bandwidth content across the 5G network. And the last slide, please. This is my daughter's drawing for you. I mean, the network that we provide links clinicians, patient groups and families, obviously the wider community of audience, and researchers and scientists. The key thing is there's a research group that we already have ethics for, that we're collecting for, that the English National Ballet, who's a partner, already have experience of delivering high-level 360-degree filming content to a wide audience. We deliver 360 content on different platforms, and Breathe are already delivering online. The King's College London and UCL provide us with the research and Welcome with the funding. We're desperate to link with a tech partner who can help us provide us with the platform and advice about how we can reach these vulnerable people most easily. Thank you for the time, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you kindly. That is a fantastic use case. I hope there are some techies out there that can get the pipes together to get some of that poetry out there. Thank you. Moving on, W5G, 5G Create, Worcestershire, old chums of ours. Are you there?
Hi, Richard.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Steve Ashton at Worcestershire County Council here. And apologies for the text-heavy slides, but just treat them as subtitles in case the accent doesn't come over. In Worcestershire, we've got a track record of leading 5G testbed and trials projects. We've run a successful testbed since spring of 18, and we're currently closing that down with DCMS and working on its commercial future, which is part of this work. Worcestershire 5G is largely focused on driving productivity through Industry 4.0, focused on advanced manufacturing, security by design use cases. And alongside a key number of partners, we work with vendors, MNOs, manufacturers, systems integrators, some of whom you've heard from today, security experts and academia. So we can manage a lot of partners, and we have experience of that. WCC are also the lead on the recently commenced Rural Connected Communities project, West Mercia 5G. We're focusing there on a new model for infrastructure deployment in rural areas, but also on health and social care applications. Heard a couple of people talk today. If you've got a health or social care use case or application to trial, we're very interested to hear and work from people on that on a project which already has secured funding away from 5G Create. Next slide, please. So, what do we offer? Alongside our network providers, we offer a packaged 5G testbed solution, network as a service, if you will. Our network includes 5G non-standalone Ericsson core with plans to upgrade to SA as the standards allow. And we've got a 5G radio access network, indoor and outdoor sites on that. We've got mobile edge computing capability, again, for those solutions that might require that low latency and quick solutions. Access to security by design wrap options if people want that. We've got an outdoor 25-metre mast that's got sight of the rural Malvern Hills, small town centre, residential areas, industrial, science and retail parks. So there's plenty of space and areas in which to test applications if that's what people want to do. The current indoor capability we have is an open office environment, but that's very easy for us to create split areas within it. It's the science park is designed to do that. We've got a factory site which is live, Worcester Bosch, but again, as our core site has capability to backhaul new solutions for fibre for those further apart and across the country, or for those nearer to us if we want to use our master backhaul, that's another option. But again, we then want to build that indoor network with you, so it could take some time. But all this means effectively, we've got an operational private 5G network and access to a commercial 5G network, and thus the ability to start cracking on with use cases early on. You don't have to wait for us to build something. Okay, so we're open to work with people across a number of sectors as per the slide there, and beyond that there's just a selection on there. If you have a use case you'd like to develop or deploy, we want to discuss it with you to see if either our current network can, or with some additional build could meet your needs. We want to hear from solutions providers with an idea. We can look to marry those solutions with needs locally, or to create valuable, to enable us to create valuable use cases. We want to hear from organisations with a problem. If you think 5G can solve, to match you with those solutions providers we already know, or some people who may be coming to us through this process. And of course, if you've already got an hypothesis for a solution and a problem all in one, then and just need somewhere to test it, we can be that place. If you've got an app, an application, or just your research on a 5G NSA network, we've got that space that you can come and play with and work with us on. And then finally, as Worcestershire County Council, locally, we've got a real interest as a local authority to drive some local authority test use cases forward around our economy, infrastructure and environment plans. We've looked at areas such as flooding, transport and asset management, just as a handful that, again, we could work with you on. And what we also want to do is continue with our skills angle and approach to work on our skills report, follow some of those recommendations through with partners who are interested in supporting the next generation of people to understand the capabilities of 5G and build the networks. So just to finish off, as I say, anybody in those spaces, we'd love to hear from you. And we've got a network which could give you some quick wins.
Thank you kindly, Steve. Very helpful. There you go. And there's your contact details and all.
Cool.
Right, we're almost there. We're just going to do a rewind after Smart Rural, and then we've got a late entrant who somehow managed to slip through the. But Paul from Smart Rural, are you there, sir?
Right, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Indeed we can, Paul. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, Smart Rural may seem a little bizarre in the context of some of the other presentations. We are an agricultural co-op based in Scotland. But what we have as one of our USPs for the work that we're doing around Agriculture 4.0 and the deployment of a rural national LoRaWAN is that we can potentially offer site access as a service. So if anybody is interested in rural locations, we can make them accessible. And whilst this is something that is definitely aimed at Scotland, because we are a Scottish agricultural co-op, we've already been in conversations with entities in Shropshire and Cheshire Monday this week. And yes, there is no reason why this model cannot be used elsewhere. So whilst we are about LoRaWAN, very low bandwidth, we do believe we have strong synergies to offer to 5G and others. Next slide, please. What our network will look like is 2,000 plus sites across rural Scotland, and it's pretty low tech masts, 9 to 10 meter height on farm structures. But that's our USP, because we are doing this for the farmers. One of the things that we have access to at an industrial scale is sites. So that's one of our offerings here, possibly. Next slide, please. Now, at the very simple end is what we're doing with LoRaWAN, Internet of Things on a massive scale. Next slide, please. Or next click. Yeah. We take that infrastructure, very simple, and we create 2 other bays that can be rented out. And then final click on this slide, please. And ultimately, we can go from LoRaWAN through to full fixed wireless access, 10 gigabit wireless broadband. Next slide, please. And this is something that we're working on with one of our local authorities. They want to utilize a network of farm buildings that we will develop, and they want to deploy fixed wireless access, 10 and 1 gigabit, to reach out to their rural assets and potentially create a 5G testbed. So what we're offering is site sharing, and we're willing to work with anybody in Scotland or potentially elsewhere to set up rural networks based on the farmer-owned cooperative model that is helping us deliver outside-in digital comms capability in rural Scotland. Thank you.
Okay, thank you kindly, Paul. Right, we earlier lost Cryptolabs, unfortunately. They dropped off, but are now in a position to...
Hello, can you hear me? Here's Cryptolabs.
Okay, bear with me.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, sorry about earlier.
These things do happen.
That's all right. So Cryptolabs is, was started as a quantum security company, but we have since developed a hardware security module, and we've got a public key infrastructure solution. Both of them are in use as part of the C-Roads program, so the Connected Roads program. So both of them are able to put up with kind of high rate of operations, which are needed for kind of 5G IoT use cases. So I'm just here to see if anyone needs cybersecurity on their use case and offer our services as a partner. That's it.
Thank you kindly. Yeah, I think there might be a little smidgen of security required in some of these
yeah, that's what we're there for.
And use cases. Righto. Now that's the end of the decks that we've had submitted. However, so yeah, we had a late one that fell through the cracks from Set Squared. And so Set Squared, if you're out there, we're going to give you presentation rights and let you run that deck yourself. Christopher.
Thanks very much, Richard. Can you hear me okay?
Indeed we can, sir.
Yeah,
great. And can you see my slides?
We're going to give you 3 minutes.
Thank you, that's plenty. Can you see the slides okay?
Yes, sir.
Good, thanks very much. So about us, Set Squared helps SMEs and researchers to establish consortiums for grant competitions. That's what we do. And our goal here for the 5G Create competition is to help consortium leads, other enterprises, network operators, technology suppliers, all of you guys to create strong bids for this competition. The way we can do that is by adding capabilities from our network. And I'll go into what our network comprises in a moment. But in particular, we can also provide up to £10,000 in grant writing paid for by us to the consortium in order to help you put together stronger bids. Just trying to move slides. Here we go. So our network comprises the University Cardiff, Southampton, Surrey, Bath, Exeter and Bristol. As many of you are aware, there are many 5G research teams, the Innovation Centre at Surrey, Testbeds and so on across these universities, all of which might be your partner in one of these consortiums. We also represent more than 300 SMEs who are a mixture of startups and scale-up companies who are developing technologies. Many of them are application technologies that are relevant to 5G, and we can help you to find partners to put together applications or to test out applications across your networks and platforms. And then we have this stimulus funding, which we can apply to bring the consortium together. So in order for us to provide our support, a consortium must include at least one of our member SMEs and at least one of our member or partner universities. And we'd be delighted if we could bring in more than one. We're also happy to support more than one bid. We aren't a paid for service for you. Our funding comes from elsewhere. So we're independent and we can support you to put in stronger applications. In our experience, bringing together consortium partners and aligning them around common goals that are going to impress the funders is hard work. It's time consuming work. So our services are free to you as the user, and I recommend you take advantage. Here are my contact details. I'm Chris Pett at the bottom. I'm the Digital Innovation Sector Lead, and my colleague, in fact my boss, Steve Mayers, who's also on this call, the Scale Up Programme Manager, who's very experienced in network applications and network technology. We're both available to help you put together better consortia. So please do get in touch with us as soon as you can. The more time we have together to explore the opportunities and connect you with SMEs and academic research teams who are going to be able to support you, the better. Thanks very much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much indeed, Chris. And well, broadly, are
we in? Are we
for
done?
now. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard, and thank you so much, everybody. We've still got 70 people online, 71 people online. That's absolutely amazing. Bit of a marathon, but I hope you found it very, very useful. I'm just going to ask Tony to close us down, as it were. Tony, can you just shift your camera down a bit? That's great. So if you can take the mic and the screen, it's all yours.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for staying the distance. It was a really interesting afternoon. We heard a huge range of offers there from an incredibly diverse set of people working away in the 5G space. So whatever it is that UK5G has been doing over the last couple of years has been working. So well done. And thank you, everybody, for your pitches. I think we are extremely optimistic that we're going to get a really good quality set of bids, and very happy for anybody on the call to get in touch with us through the 5G Create mailbox or to approach UK5G and the team there through the contact details we discussed before. There was one question on the Q&A which was raised by somebody asking about what spectrum Ofcom were offering. I wonder if I could just ask the Ofcom reps who were on the call to drop a note into the Q&A or into the chat, just to let people know what's available through their licensing options. I'm sure there's a nice place to do that. Okay, so and the last bit is just to say good luck, and thank you also to my colleagues in UK5G, KTN, Ofcom, etc., and my DCMS colleagues who have supported the event so well. Amazing how we've all adapted to the new realities so well. So thank you, everybody. I'll hand you back to Andy.
Thank you very much, Tony. That's perfect. Thank you very much. Brilliant session, really useful. We found it very revealing. Lots of diversity in there, as Tony mentioned. Just a couple of things to close off. We're going to be sending you as delegates for this session each other's email addresses if you agreed to do that in the registration, and ask you not to forget to look at the UK5G website collaboration exchange as well, where there are opportunities for you to put your invitations to partner up and your solutions on there for other people to look at as well. When you do that, everybody who's put an inquiry in gets an email to say there's a new inquiry. So it's a really powerful system. We encourage you to use it. But of course, if you want to talk to us separately, we're available. I think that's it, unless anybody else has got anything to say. Rich, are you okay?
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, one and all. What a terrific array of talent, capabilities, and expertise. Hope to see many of you gainfully involved on the other side.
Just one question, Andy, from Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hello, hi. Just to say, will the videos be up online, and when will they be up online? So.
Great question. Thanks very much for that. Yes, they will be. We've been recording this session. What we will do is we'll put them up online on the UK5G site in the next few days. It might be as long as a week, but we hope not to be that long. And you'll be able to see each of the segments of each of the pictures, which is why we're trying to contain them to 3 minutes, and you can click through them, and they'll be annotated as well. Okay, right. Everybody's furiously writing. It's time to close the session. We're right on time. Thanks so much for all your efforts, and thank you for taking part. We look forward to seeing your applications and look forward to working with you in the future. Take care now. And Anita, can you close the session for us, please?